Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bonita Lifestyle Podcast. Today is December 1st. How exciting! Christmas is upon us. I love this month. It just feels cozy, so full of joy. I mean, not for a lot of people. I get it, because for some people it could really mean, you know, bad things. So, sometimes, especially if they're lonely, if they don't have family with whom to share the holidays, or maybe they lost a loved one. I get it. But yeah, it's exciting. It's December 1st. Thanksgiving just passed. I'm grateful for this Thanksgiving. I was able to spend with my family and eat a lot of food and spend time together, cook. It was nice. It was a great time. So for today's episode, I want to talk about the things I've learned this year. Things I overcame, and I feel like listening to somebody else's perspective of how they overcome challenges, I feel like could be also helpful. I like to listen to stuff like that, because it helps me, it gives me a new perspective on certain things or challenges, on how to overcome them. For example, one of my biggest things I've learned this year was to see adversity as something good. I didn't realize how much I was holding myself back, and feeling sorry for myself for going through adversity, when it it's part of life. Finally now I see it okay, it's part of life. There's no shortcuts to life in anything. If you really want something good in life, there's no shortcuts in anything. There's certain, if you want a good life, you're gonna go through even harder things, because to get to where you want to be, it's gonna be a challenge. And I didn't realize how much of a quitter I was from in my past younger years, how much, yeah, I wanted a better life, but I wasn't willing to put in the work. I wasn't willing to go through the hard stuff to learn, to grow, and to get to where I wanted to be. I was always wanting to stay in my comfort zone. I felt oh no, for me, but I didn't have the perspective that I have now too. That's why, I used to think, oh, once it's hard, you feel and then you want to quit. You feel oh, it wasn't meant to be. Right away we think, oh, it wasn't meant to be. If it was supposed to be easy for it to be meant to be, nothing worthwhile is easy. Now I get it, when they say choose your hard, because life is hard. It's gonna be hard no matter what. It's gonna be hard if you choose not to do the right thing. It's gonna be hard to do the right thing, when it comes to bettering yourself. Yeah, it's gonna take a lot of time. It's gonna take discipline. It's gonna take everyday little steps to get to where you want to be. But if you don't do it, it's also hard. It's hard to stay broke, just like it is hard to learn how to make money. It's hard to not work out because like we're unhealthy, and like being unhealthy, then well, what comes after that? Sickness. That's hard. But it's also hard, yeah, to work out, to find the time to, you know, go through the whole workout because you're out of breath. Because yeah, it's like all of it is hard. And now I get it, like when they say choose your heart. And yeah, like I rather, when it comes to working out, yeah, I'd rather like be uncomfortable for like an hour than to be uncomfortable the rest of my life being sick. Like now that's how I see it now. And like working on myself too. Like I rather be uncomfortable or like yeah, lose not lose, but like for me it's gain. Like putting time aside to work on myself, to read the books I have to read, to listen to whatever podcast, that help me to expand my perspective in life, to be a better version of me. Yeah, it takes time. And maybe it's hard, but it's harder to stay the same and not evolve. It's harder to stay comfortable and not be where you want to be, and then look back 5 years and be like, oh, I could have done this, but I didn't. Like that's harder for me to say, like, and and especially now, like at my age, I'm like, if I would have gotten out of my comfort zone back in my early 20s and my early 30s, like who knows, like what could I have been now. But it is what it is. I'm taking personal responsibility now that I'm where I'm at because of my habits, my ways of being, So now it's like, okay, if not taking personal responsibility, if not doing what I had to do has me where I'm at, like, not successful how I would like to be, or, like I have accomplished, like maybe the career of my dreams or whatever. If I would have taken those steps, if I would have, done the hard stuff, I could have had a different life by now. But no, like back then, I was more into like, staying comfortable. I guess I was like scared to like do like big things, or I don't know. Like my perspective was really limited back then. So like learning to see adversity as something good, as a blessing in disguise, is has been a really game changer for me. Because now, like when I struggle, because that's inevitable. Problems are inevitable. Pain is inevitable. It's just the way we see it. If we see it like something that's gonna crush you and paralyze you, then you're gonna stay stuck and not do nothing about it instead of keep moving forward. No matter how life hard get, how hard life gets, especially if we want to do big things. Life is always gonna throw us, curveballs, and we just gotta keep going forward. It's hard though. I'm not like even even now for me, like certain things I'm like, oh my god, like I want to learn how to make money, like through like digital marketing or stuff like that. And and obviously I'm not gonna do that if I don't put in the work. I have to really do something about it to accomplish that. Taking action, I feel like that's another thing, like really putting in action what I'm learning. And I think that's where I'm still struggling. I need to put into action what I've learned to like to take those small steps to where, you know, whatever I want to accomplish type of thing. Like right now, like my focus is like the podcast. I want to, you know, better myself at speaking, feel more comfortable feeling uncomfortable because it's still uncomfortable for me. But I still want to do it. I still want to, like, I want to meet that other version of me. I want to see my growth. I feel like if I quit at this, I'm never gonna like know what I'm capable of. I'm tired of quitting all the time when it gets hard. I've tried many things in life, and when it gets hard, I've always quit, and I don't want to do that anymore. So that's one of the things. One of the big things I've learned this year, to see adversity as something good. And then another thing that I've learned this year is to lead by example. That's one of my biggest ones now because I didn't realize how true it is. For example, like if we're parents, like we have to lead our kids by example. We can't be telling them, oh, like you need to do this, this, and this, and then we're not showing them like how it gets done, or like we're not leading by example, like especially when it comes to like maybe telling our kids, oh, like stop overeating, or you need to exercise more, and then we don't exercise. Like what kind of you know shit is that, to like tell your kids, oh, you need to do this, do that, but we don't tell them. But we don't show them, you know, we're not leading by example. We're not doing what we're talking about. And I feel like that's been a big one for me, to actually put in the work, to actually, you know, show my kids that like what's possible. Because even when it comes to like quitting, if your kids see you quit every time something gets hard, it could be in relationships, it could be in work, it could be in business, it could be in you know in your workouts or something. Like if they see you quit every time it gets hard, or every time you get lazy, they're learning that's what they're gonna do. And like now, like I see that, I'm like, okay, like I need to lead by example, teach my kids that quitting is not an option. For me, that's one of my biggest ones, that quitting is not an option. And I remind myself that all the time, especially when I feel like quitting. Sometimes, yeah, like working out can be, exhausting. But then I think about, okay, it's going to be harder to be unhealthy, to have, chronic diseases or all that stuff. So I'd rather be uncomfortable for a little bit and have a longer life, for my kids. So yeah, like showing kindness, showing, all those things, so that our kids could see, like how to be in life, so they could be also successful. And then another big thing I've learned this year is taking personal responsibility for my life in every area, like relationship-wise, work-wise, personal. Like how important it is to take personal responsibility and to stop blaming other people or circumstances for a lack of anything in life, like for a lack of effort, for a lack of success, for a lack of everything. I feel like it's so important to really take that responsibility, and I didn't used to see it like that back then either. I used to feel like, I look back and I'm like, I feel like I used to feel sorry for myself even in that area, like feeling sorry for myself for being a single mom, feeling sorry for myself for struggling, for not being able to overcome certain things. But then I go back and I'm like, well, how are you going to overcome something if you quit every time it gets hard? So now, like, I'm like, okay, it's my responsibility to pick myself up, to to pour, on to pour on myself, to be able to be that good version for those around me, for my kids, for my parents, for my siblings. That's how I see it now. So yes, taking personal responsibility, and that includes, mistakes. Okay, I messed up here. How can I learn? How can I make this better? How can I, avoid making this mistake next time? Like, learn from it and not repeat the same mistakes. And then another thing, I've learned this year, taking my power back. I feel like when we get out of the victim's mentality, when we get out of the blaming game of, oh, like, is this person's fault? Is that person's fault that I'm like this, or that, or the way I was raised, or whatever. Like, once we stop blaming others or blaming circumstances, like, I've learned that taking that responsibility too, like, you take your power back by, accepting, okay, this is my fault, I created this, or maybe some things are not our fault. And it's like, okay, how can I learn and grow from this? I feel like that's another way to take our power back, instead of just blaming and feeling sorry for ourselves for things that are out of our control, basically. And then another thing that I've learned is to love the person I see in the mirror. Like, I'm learning how important it is to build that version of me that I look up to build that person that I respect and love and take care of. And learning how to do that for myself has really made an impact on how I parent, on how I am as an individual, as a friend, as a coworker. I feel like when we learn to do that for ourselves, we really will reflect it on others. Like, now I get it, how, like, when all you do is criticize, when all you do is hate and envy people, that's because you're not at peace with yourself. And now I see the like the power to have like how life is a mirror. That everything that we dislike on others, or that we envy, is because we're not at peace with those parts, like, within ourselves. Like, now I see how, like, being at peace with other people it's actually being at peace with yourself. So that one's another big one for me. Now every time, like, okay, if something bothers me from somebody, I'm like, okay, why does this bother me from this person, or whatever? And it's like, okay, what in me am I not at peace with? Or, because life is a mirror. Like, everybody's gonna reflect something back to us. Like, for me, this is hard to explain, because, Like I kind of get it in my own words, but it's true. It's true how like if like people always gonna reflect things to us that we're not at peace with, or that, you know, or even the good stuff. Like when you admire something from somebody, that's actually something you admire within yourself, that you are capable of being. Like maybe you admire somebody that, you know, has a good personality, is always positive, and it's like that's actually something that you have within yourself. When you admire people for their good qualities, those are also qualities that you also have, that maybe you need to, you know, work within yourself to develop them. I don't know, but that part of the mirror is kind of hard for me to explain, but yeah, it's really, really true. I feel it. But yeah, those are like my main things that I've learned this year. And yeah, I don't know if you guys ever reflect like towards the end of the year. Like I was never like that actually. Like I used to think, you know, I used to just think that life was, you know, whatever it threw at me, and I guess I wasn't taking personal responsibility for, okay, what did I learn, or how can I make things better? How can I grow from this? I used to not really take any like importance in that, I guess. And now I do. Now I'm like, okay, this is where I'm at, and this is where I want to be. You know, each year now, like I want to, you know, be a better version of me, a more confident version of me, a version of me that believes more in herself, you know, and all that good stuff. And yeah, so that's my lessons that I've learned this year. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go now. I'm gonna post this today. No, not today. Today's December 1st. Tomorrow, Monday. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good one. And remember to believe in yourself. Work on yourself. Be a better version of you each day. All right, guys. Until next time. Bye.